Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Night Train with Cynthia, your host. That is me. So, this week I'm interviewing a wonderful creator of videos, a very entertaining person. Please welcome Mr. MilkTankerMedia.
Hey, thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on the show, Cynthia. Apparently, I can't talk today. That's all right.
Oh, that's quite alright, I perfectly understand. Now, Mr. Milktaker, we hear that you have recently had some trouble with three of our resident road vehicles, the horrid lorries, as they are, less than fondly known by the steam engines. Would you care to elaborate on that?
Well, it all started a couple months back. Apparently, the horrid lorries got their hands on the internet somehow, and they discovered that I had been using a photograph of them, a rather unflattering photograph, I must say. One has
Oh,
his a
I
back,
understand.
yes, one has his back wheels kind of lifted into the air by a crane at this point. But I've been using that as my profile picture on YouTube for essentially my entire YouTube career. They were less than pleased with that, and there was an altercation. I won't go into most of the gritty details with that, but we are not on the best of terms at the moment, let us say.
Oh my, well, I hope that gets resolved soon, because, as I know, they are not the friendliest of lorries.
They are not the friendliest of lorries, that is true.
Now, on to the next question. Mr. Milktaker, you yourself have said that you have had a very successful career in the past. How long has it been? 9 years?
7
8 years?
years. It's coming up on 8 this spring. That's wow, that's surprising even me.
Oh, well, happy anniversary.
Oh, not quite yet. It's a few months away yet.
Oh, yes, well, I merely wish to wish it in advance.
Oh, that's perfectly fine then. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Now, Mr. Milktanker, what inspired you to start this series of yours?
Well, there was a period of my life where I had, given up on Thomas. I was getting older. I wasn't a toddler anymore. And, Thomas is for babies and all that jazz. But then, one day something called me back, and I'm not really sure what it was. Another man might call it nostalgia, but I think at this point it was really a calling. So I started getting back into the old, DVDs and VHSs. I don't know if anyone still remembers what VHSs are. But I started,
Very funny, sir.
but yes, but I started watching those again, and then I started watching some things on YouTube and doing research into the railway series and things like that. And it was at that point that I discovered my first TWR video, which was from Thomas Wooden Railway, or as he was previously known, Kikwe 24. And actually, um, the very first episode of his that I saw was Wilbert to the Rescue. So that's a little fun factoid for you there. And, you know, I started watching his series and I was like, hey, this is exactly what I've been doing my entire life. Just playing with trains on the carpet and telling stories, except, with a camera. So I thought, hey, I can do that. And so I did. And the rest is pretty much history.
Oh, how very interesting, sir. I know many people on YouTube, well, from what my driver tells me, have started out with videos from Thomas Wooden Railway. He must be very influential.
Oh yeah, he's pretty much the grandfather of all Thomas Wooden Railway. He's everything that came after was at least partially inspired by him in some way.
Oh, how very inspirational. Now, Mr. Milktanker, if you may tell me, what is your favorite project that you have worked on?
Boy, that's a tough one. I've worked on a lot of projects. I think right off the top of my head, I really enjoyed working on making Spirits Bright. It was such a fun project to do, and to be able to work with Enterprising Engine 93, who is amazing at everything that he does. It was a really really fun project to do, and it was so fulfilling to write. And I think you know I did some new things with filming in that one, and the end product just came out really really well.
Oh, well, I must confess that here on Sodor, some of us do watch videos on YouTube from time to time, and I must admit, around Christmas time, that is a favorite of mine.
It was very much in the Christmas spirit that I wanted to do that. It was a project that I'd wanted to work on for a long time, doing a sort of Thomas version of A Christmas Carol, and, its placement in season 3 just kind of lent itself to doing that story with Gordon, which was I think it worked really well. For not only did it tell the story self-contained, but it also kind of fit into the overarching plot line.
How very interesting. I must say, Mr. Enterprising was a very good choice as narrator. What inspired you to choose him?
Well, originally I had asked E93 if he wanted to help write the script, and he wasn't able to, you know, like fully write it, but he did help edit the script once I'd written it, and it was at that point that I thought, hey, why don't I ask him if he wants to narrate it? Because we'd been friends for a while, and I think he has a great voice for Thomas and Friends and things, and he said yes. So I'm really glad we were able to work that out with him.
Oh, yes, I must say that was an excellent choice. Now, moving on. Now, Mr. Milk Tanker, in your YouTube career, you have not done many meetups, but the meetups you have done have been with Mr. MPS, the famed Baja Blast promoter. Now, tell me, would you like to elaborate a little on that?
Yeah,
On how that
you're
came
right.
to be?
Yeah, I have not done a whole lot of meetups in my whole career, which is largely because for most of my career I kept everything about my personal information secret. Right down to the
A very
state that I
smart
lived
choice.
in. But then, of course, the Twin Cities Model Railroad Museum, which is a museum that I loved dearly as a child. It was struggling financially and needed help, and I thought, hey, what better way to help save a museum for model trains than a bunch of model train enthusiasts? So it was at that point that I went on Twitter and I said, hey, everybody, go check out this museum. It's really cool, and it needs our help to survive. And then, of course, in doing that, I had to say that I lived in Minnesota. So then Mr. MPS actually contacted me and said, hey, I live in Minnesota too. Do you want to do a meetup at this museum and make a promotional video for it? And I thought that was a great idea. So, off we went and we did that. And since we both lived in Minnesota, it's pretty simple to meet up with each other if we want to. So it's great that we were actually able to, become real life friends. Because I mean, what are the odds that you're going to get, two teenagers who are almost exactly the same age, weirdly enough, who both like Thomas and who both like superheroes, both living within, a few miles of each other. It was really cool.
That's a very moving story, I must say.
Yeah, it's awesome that I was able to meet up with Mr. MPS. He's really a great guy, and I've had a lot of fun with him. And I hope we get to meet up again soon. We've done a couple more since the museum, and I hope for even more to come.
A very worthy hope indeed. Now tell me, Mr. Milk Tanker, if there was anybody at all who you could meet up with in the TWRC, who would you like to meet up with next?
Oh boy. See, that's really tough because there's so many, people on YouTube that I admire and that I respect and that I'm friends with. So it's really hard to pick just one. But I will say that I kind of have this fantasy that one day we'll put on a TWR con and we'll just get a whole bunch of Thomas Wooden Railway users to come to the con and just hang out together. It'll be like a giant, massive meetup, and we'll just have a great time. I don't know if that'll ever actually happen, but I think, it is a fantasy. But at the same time, I think if people were interested in doing a gigantic meetup like that, I think we could definitely pull it off if we really, really wanted to.
A very interesting plan indeed, I must say. Now I'm afraid it's that time of the show and we must take a commercial break. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen and engines, for next time we will be back with more hot answers to those hot topics from the hot people. Lean. Green. Mean. Fighting machine. Here at Crew, we impress, so you don't have to. That's just what we do. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Night Train. Now, Mr. Milk Tanker, getting into a more personal topic, this is the first time you have ever showed your face to the public. May I ask why?
Well, I figured it was finally time that all the Lego people and Trains of Sodor know what I look like. After so many years of anonymity, it's nice to finally have a definitely real, totally genuine plastic face.
Well, Mr. MilkTanker, I am very honored that you chose the night train to reveal your face on. It is indeed a great honor.
Well, I'm pleased that you had me on the show. It's a great honor to be here.
Oh, wonderful. Now, Mr. MilkTanker, true to your name, tell me, why did you choose that name and what is your fascination with milk?
My fascination with milk is that it is a very calcium-rich source of nutrition. Milk is very good for you. All you kids out there, be sure to drink your milk every day. And yeah, I actually really do like milk for whatever strange reason. But in addition to that, the milk tanker is my favorite piece of rolling stock in the Thomas Wooden Railway line.
The Thomas Wooden Railway line sounds very interesting. I do not know much about it, but I should check it out sometimes.
You really should. I think you would find it very relatable.
Or perhaps sometime I may get my own model, if the show takes off, you know. And now let us move on to the last question of the show. Mr. MilkTanker, you are a very accomplished YouTuber, having made many movies and many episodes of your series. Do you have any advice for any budding filmmakers out there watching the show? Or any TWRCers starting out?
Well, I guess I would say my biggest advice to anyone I have a couple things. First piece of advice to any TWR, startup user is to just do it, man. I know I sound like Shia LaBeouf there, but really, if this is something that you want to do, all you need is a couple of trains and a camera. I know a lot of people put up these videos with all these fancy editing techniques and these elaborate backgrounds and that's string and everything that looks so professional, and that's really awesome. But don't start out comparing yourself to those guys. If you just want to tell stories, you just go ahead and tell stories, and you don't need anything. You don't need anything fancy to tell a story. Like I said, all you need is a camera and a few trains. That's always been my philosophy, and it's what I've stuck to with my series, through all of these years. That brings me to my next point, which is tell the stories that you want to tell. Find your niche. I've seen YouTube series about Thomas that make it everything from a horror movie to a comedy, and there's everything in between, and there's so much storytelling potential, and that's what's great about Thomas and about the Railway series and the TV show. There's so much potential to take it in so many different directions. So you just got to find what you want to do with your story, and what you want to tell the world, and think about why do you tell stories, and what do you want to tell the world about yourself and about what you've learned through this very incredible medium.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful statement. And now, I'm afraid that we must close the show. Thank you, Mr. MilkTanker, for being with us, and join us next time for more hot answers from those hot people on those hot topics. This has been the Night Train. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.